Good afternoon and welcome to Politics in the Pulpit here on your hometown station, KHTS 98.1 FM and AM 1220. This is your holy host, the Bishop of Santa Clarita, back for another opportunity to talk about the two things we are not supposed to talk about in public, but yet we do: religion and politics, and yes, they do indeed mix. Want to wish you a blessed Holy Week, as Palm Sunday was just a few days ago, and that kind of starts off the whole trajectory for this week, which culminates, of course, this coming Sunday for Bible-believing Christians with Easter Sunday, Resurrection Sunday, the day that we have set aside to commemorate, to highlight the greatest historical event that has had consequential impact upon the world, and that, of course, is the resurrection of our Lord and Savior. If you are looking for Easter services to attend, I'd love to have you as my personal guest at Freedom's Way Baptist Church this coming Sunday, April 20th at 10:30 a.m. We have an adult Sunday school as well as Sunday school for kids all ages at 9:15. And then, of course, the main worship service will be at 10:30 a.m. Encourage you to come. Let me just offer a couple of caveats here. If you're looking for a church where rock and roll is being done, if you're looking for a church where the pastor enters the platform around a bunch of smoke and a fog machine, we're not the church for you. We're very traditional. We still sing from a hymn book, and we're very traditional. But at the same time, we're very, very contemporary in the sermons that we preach. We want to take a sermon, a content that's 2,000 years old, and make it very applicable for us today in the 21st century. Also, a quick shameless plug concerning politics in the pulpit. We have a Rumble channel, and all of our shows get uploaded there usually about 2 or 3 hours after the live show goes off the air, and it is commercial free. So for those of you out there that like Rumble, like that platform, it tends to be a pro-free speech platform, then I encourage you to give us a like and a follow on Politics and the Pulpit. Wanted to start off today with a very positive story that has been getting a little bit of play even on the national scene. A few days ago, in fact last Thursday, a missionary pastor in South Africa was abducted while in services, and this pastor's name is Josh Sullivan, of course, is an American citizen from Tennessee, and he is a missionary that went to the Eastern Cape of South Africa to start a Bible-believing work. And he has had some run-ins, if you will, with some of the local groups there. But last Thursday, while conducting a prayer meeting, while delivering the sermon, some armed men came in, asked for Josh by name, and they tied him up, and they kept him and held him for ransom. That's a reality in the world today. That's a reality that most missionaries will have to face, especially when they go to a country that is less than kind, if you will, towards Christianity. And they held him for ransom, thinking that, these guys could get some money. Little did they know this is a Baptist preacher, so obviously we got no money. But thankfully today, this American pastor who was kidnapped has been brought back safely to his family, and we praise the Lord for that. What a great Easter, no doubt, this family is going to have this weekend as they've been reunited. I can imagine what this individual may have undergone and underwent. Who knows what he was able to say to his kidnappers, but we're thankful that Josh is back with his wife and back with his family. Also, one of the things that's been making the rounds the last couple of days is Harvard University. Isn't it amazing that Harvard has over 50 billion in endowments, but yet they still depend on federal funding? Now, you'd think with that much money in endowments that they would not need the pittance that the federal government gives them, but yet Harvard University just basically said to the Trump administration, we are not going to comply with federal law when it comes to DEI and some of the other things that this new incoming administration has made some major changes to. And you'll remember that Harvard was in the news just a little over a year ago when their former president, Claudine Gay, was being interrogated before Congress in reference to all of the Palestinian protests that were happening on the campuses of Harvard and other universities as well, and the type of atmosphere that was fomenting on campuses for the Jewish students. And so we know what happened with Claudine Gay. She ended up resigning not too long after those congressional testimonies. And now we've got Harvard University telling the administration we're not going to abide by federal law, but yet at the very same time they're demanding that the federal government continue with those fundings. Can you imagine a kid at home saying to mom and dad, we're not going to listen to any of your rules, but I'm going to continue living here? No, that's not going to work for me as a parent. Hopefully that doesn't work for you as a parent. And that shouldn't work for Harvard University, one of our more premier Ivy League schools in the United States of America. Over 50 million in endowments, over 100,000 that they charge per head, and who knows how much more private funding they get, and yet still demanding the federal government dip into the till and provide them their funding, even though they are going to flout and not back any of the federal requirements that I think were very commonsensical for them to do. Our guest today is Sonya Shaw, and Sonya Shaw is the current president of the Chino Valley Unified School District. And Sonya was first elected in 2022 and has since made quite a name for herself, standing up for common sense values. Now, if you want a little taste of Sonya Shaw, here is a brief clip of Sonya at a school board meeting just in the last few weeks, responding to a cease and desist letter concerning what she put on her own private social media platform. Here's what Sonya had to say.
Thank you so much. I also just want to thank our staff. We did have a big turnout on that student survey. That is great. We want to continue to hear their voices. But with that said, on the next board meeting, I'm asking an agenda item to be put on there. It's a resolution to support AB 89. It's Kate Sanchez's bill for fairness and safety in girls' sports in CIF. And I am going to say something because I just found out something today. I got a cease and desist from a mother of an athlete because I spoke truth on my social media. I will never stop speaking truth for the community. But with that said, I got a cease and desist and served here at the district for something I did on my own social media, talking about the unfairness of boys and girls sports. We're talking about biological males in girls sports. I'm talking as a mother of 2 female athletes. I'm talking as a community member and an advocate of female athletes and people. I fight for all girls. I don't care if it's just in California, Chino, or the nation, but my job as a board member is to try to advocate for safety and fairness for our girls, not only in sports, but in their own locker rooms and restrooms. Just like when I heard that mom, I want to make sure we follow through and make sure that her child feels safe as well in regards to male and female differences. The problem that I have is I just said it was unfair and that a boy is stealing these opportunities from girls, because that's the truth. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. I also have First Amendment rights and I will never shut up in regards to that. So this cease and desist, That's what I feel about that cease and desist. I'm telling you right now, because it does affect our community. That boy winning titles does affect our community. Right now, number 2 in the state is an Ayala female athlete. Her name is Jenna Morales, and I feel so fiercely protective over her because someone stole her first place medal, a boy. I'm sorry, that's not an attack on anybody other than she has been attacked. Our Ayala student, our Chino Valley student has had that stolen and ripped away from her.
Sonya is a Christian. She's a common sense conservative. She's a mother. And she's on our show today. Welcome, Sonya Shaw, to Politics in the Pulpit.
Thank you. It's so awesome to be here again. All my pleasure.
Absolutely. Now, just to kind of piggyback off of that clip, which, of course, that was you, right? That was you. Did you receive any blowback at all from the district or from the parents by ripping up that cease and desist order?
No, not at all. And I said, yeah, it's in the trash. You're more than welcome to go get it.
How do the folks on the dais with you, the other individuals that you serve with, do they get nervous with stuff like that?
Okay, first of all, I sit up on the dais with 4 other God-fearing men who were elected to protect kids and make sure our district focuses on education. So I don't think they get uncomfortable. You got to remember, we came from a position before I was on the board, and we had a 2-3. They had the majority, right? That when I say they, people with no common sense. And over the past 2 elections, we literally worked hard, and we now have 5 people with common sense focused on education and parental rights on our board. So I'm very blessed in the position that we're in our community.
Well, that's excellent. That's good to hear, because not every school board has a bunch of common sense people sitting on it. Usually it's 1 or 2, and then there's, you know, 3 people that, you know, outnumber the common sense folks. So, so great to hear that. Is this issue of girls and boys in sports still a major sore issue that's happening in the Chino Valley School District?
Okay, so we all heard Trump's executive orders. We all, saw the changes that he made federally to Title IX, putting them back before Biden started making a mess of them, to be truly what they were about, protecting girls in their spaces and fairness in sports, and also safety in their locker rooms and restrooms. But I think the biggest misconception here in California is that trumped, literally, California law. And right now, that's where Newsom and his allies are buckling down. They're doubling down. We have laws in place, AB 1266, that allows the boys and the girls in the boys' restroom and the boys in the girls' restrooms. So it is a big, huge problem, not just in our district, but at all districts throughout California. I could tell you right now, districts all across California have boys and girls in the opposite sexes restrooms. That is allowed by law. And we're trying to fight the good fight. Tomorrow I'm bringing another item forward, pretty much demanding and asking Trump, pull the funding already. You already gave them the threats. Now pull it so we can take action and we can, put in place things that need to be put in place to fight Newsom and the rest of the cronies up there. But unfortunately, our hands are tied right now. We're doing the best we can to avoid it. But in our very own district, we have a girl fighting for the top spots, in track, and they're being taken. Number 1 is being taken by a boy, and that's wrong. And he's from another district, and that's the mother that his mother's the one that gave me the cease and desist.
You know what's interesting is I keep reading in the newspapers that this is an 80-20 issue, meaning that 80% of the community basically says this doesn't make any sense, and 20% say, no, we want boys to be in girls' locker rooms and vice versa. What is the sense of the parents, Sonya? I know that there's always a few out there that want to be contrarians, and they want to be They want to force their leftist ideology on the whole of the community. But what about the majority of the parents out there? Are they supportive of what you and the others on the board are trying to do?
If they weren't supportive, we wouldn't have had a 5-0 majority right now, I'll be honest. They know exactly where we stand. They know as much as they tried to bash the new, board member that was coming in, they knew he was tied to the same beliefs, when it comes to protecting our girls. And he won by an overwhelming majority as a new person coming in. So that shows you our community's behind us. We're elected, right? We're duly elected. That means the community voiced their concerns, and they took it to the polls, and we're in there for a reason. These are the hills that we've made clear that, our board majority has been willing to die on. Literally, you see the death threats that come in with these things. But yeah, I feel comfortable enough to say the majority of our community stands with me. If they did not, then I wouldn't be in this position.
How important is your local church and your faith in the Lord in this whole process of you not only running for the school board and then ultimately winning, but how does your faith in the Lord and your local church inform your decision making?
Well, I wake up every morning, and all of us have a decision. My decision is to give God my yes. Sometimes I'm kicking and screaming. He knows me. And I'm like, Lord, are you sure you want me to go through that door? Are you sure you want me to do that? And sometimes he closes the doors that I thought, I should be walking through. So my faith has everything to do with what I do. I think it has everything to do with, me continuing to be on this path. If I didn't have my relationship with Jesus, I can tell you right now, I'd probably go hide under a rock. It's not easy as a mother that has no, previous experience in politics, although I think I took the crash course of all crash courses the last few years. I definitely give everything that I do to the Lord. I'm grateful for his protections, his guidance. And I do have a, God-fearing church that real impact. You guys probably have heard it. They do amazing work with notifying our community that attends with action call alerts on bad bills, things to show up on, things to be aware of. Gina Gleason does an amazing job. Obviously, our pastor, drills in the fact that we have a moral obligation to be involved in politics. This is where it's at. Like, you have to stand and bold and stand in the truth. Otherwise, what are we doing? We're just smiling and shaking hands with everybody. It doesn't make sense. Like, we can't sit here and hide from the fact that children are being hurt and then call ourselves a Christian and walk away from it. I don't believe that in my heart. If I wasn't doing what was right by God, then I probably would not be attacked and I'd have a comfortable life, right? Let's be honest.
Absolutely.
But the fact that I'm in this shows all the more that I'm doing this for the Lord. I don't gain anything out of this other than, my faith with the Lord gets stronger. I have to go to him. I mean, just the other day with the new death threat, the Lord is who I have to go to. He's the one that's going to comfort and provide protection and tell me, what's going to happen next and what I'm going to do next.
We're talking to Sonya Shaw, the president of the Chino Valley Unified School District. She's a hero. She's a conservative. She's a common sense fighter. And we're very pleased to have her on the show today. When we come back on Politics in the Pulpit, Sonya has an exciting announcement, if you will. Some of us out there in Radio Land know about this, but some of us may not. So when we come back, we'll let Sonya reveal that to us when we return on Politics in the Pulpit here on your hometown station. All right, we're back here on Politics in the Pulpit. This is your holy host, the Bishop of Santa Clarita, back for another opportunity to talk about the two things we're not supposed to talk about in public, and that's religion and politics. And yes, they indeed do mix. Again, a quick shameless plug. If you are looking for Easter services this coming Sunday, April 20th, we would love to have you as our honored guests at Freedom's Way Baptist Church, 10:30 a.m., and you will be surprised by the great sermon delivered by the great preacher, yours truly. He's also humble on occasion. We are speaking to Sonya Shaw. She's the current president of the Chino Valley Unified School District. She was first elected in 2022, and as we mentioned earlier, has made quite a name for herself, whether it was wittingly or unwittingly. But she is a fighter. She's a soldier for the cross, and she believes in common sense values. And we believe that that's one of the reasons why Donald Trump won in November of 2024 is because of common sense. For so long there, we thought that common sense had died, but we're thankful that there's still enough of us out there. Sonya, you obviously are a fighter, and you have been a great presence there on the Chino Valley Unified School District, but the Lord might have you on a different path. So what's going on for the future for Sonya Shaw?
Yeah, no, I'm excited. You know, when this all came about, I thought, okay, this is another crazy, thing being presented, but I prayed about it. My husband prayed about it, and with me giving God our yes, I am running for California State Superintendent of Public Education. It's a state seat, statewide. I feel like the timing is now. I have fought against that Department of Ed, and I'm trying to be so nice right now for the past, I would say 5 years since I got involved completely, even before I was elected, because as a mother, I want our Department of Ed to be focused on education and opportunities for our children. I want it to be focused on reading, writing, and math. There's a reason why California kids are failing, and it's because of the lack of leadership. So when I went to the Lord about this, we have the blueprint here in Chino. It makes me feel guilty that we have quieted down the activists so much that our kids are excelling. Don't get me wrong, every district has its problems. We're still under California's laws. I mean, you see what happens if they don't like something, they just make a law to prevent districts like ours from doing the right thing. But our test scores are going up. Our enrollment is starting to increase, which is not normal. And it's not, historically it's not normal, but that tells you the trust is being put back into the hands of parents here. We're trying our best to do that, and I think it needs to be taken at a state level now. So I'm excited. It's a big, fight. I know that because for decades they have controlled this seat, but I think at this point we have to stop handing our kids on a silver platter. I'm willing to fight the good fight. You said it yourself. I know one of my gifts is fighting, but I give that to God, and I'm getting in there. I'm going to get into this. I hope that they present all of the union-endorsed people who push these radical ideologies, and prayfully I will be the only one with common sense that runs, so we have a great shot at doing this.
Are you suggesting that the esteemed Tony Thurmond is not doing a sufficient enough job?
I mean, come on, 47% are failing, of our kids are failing. They're not even at grade level for reading. That goes to show, I mean, you look at their social media, just go look at their social media. Look what it's directed at. They're trying to, put housing for teachers and all these community schools and pushing ethnic studies, which we all know is tied into the most radical things in the classroom. I feel like they're just another leg of the union. If you look at it, they're fighting for more things that the union should be fighting for when it comes to employees than it is for fighting for our kids to have a great education and opportunities. I 100% think that's true.
Sonya, I want you to share with our listeners something that happened a couple years ago at the board meeting there in Chino, where Mr. Thurmond had to be escorted out of the board meeting because he attempted to continue speaking after his time ran out. Would you just kind of inform our listeners as to the wonderful time that was with Mr. Thurmond?
Yeah, we were putting a parental notification in place. We got the threatening letters saying that this is breaking the law, blah, 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 which we knew it wasn't. That's why they thereafter made a law, AB 1955, to prevent districts like ours from notifying parents if their children are wanting to identify as the opposite sex. So social transitioning is not something our district voted to be part of, right? We voted against that. Newsom, I believe in my heart, sent down Tony Thurmond because he reports to him, and Tony Thurmond tried to grandstand our meeting. Now, there's a lot of history with Tony Thurmond in our district. As a mother, I kept reaching out to him when the school closures were happening. He continuously ignored parents, but then he all of a sudden decided he wanted to listen to a few of them that didn't like what we were doing and came down to our meeting. He had his, minutes to talk just like everybody else. Just like when I go to Sacramento, sometimes I get a chance to talk and you have to follow all the rules. And then I told him pretty much, thank you for being here. We appreciate it, but we're not going to back down from doing this parental notification. And I pretty much told him we're in this position because of people like him. And he approached the podium and he tried to speak again and he demanded a point of order. And I told him this, no point of order for you. You wouldn't let us do that in Sacramento and to have a seat. And he was persistent on trying to take the mic, and we cut the mic, and our security very nicely told him it's time to go sit down. And, then he decided he wasn't going to sit down, and he decided to leave with our security behind him. And, of course, he had to go to live media and all that. But, at the end of the day, we're taking a stance letting them know that they're not going to bully us. Like, we're not your normal, bureaucrats. We're not bureaucrats at all. But we're not in these positions to just sign the dotted line. We're here to make sure kids have a great opportunity at a great education, and he doesn't like that.
Is there video of that?
There is a video.
Man,
Absolutely. There's a
you
video.
got to send that to me. Yeah, I guess I could find it online, but man, I should have pulled the video up on that.
It's on my Instagram too, but yeah.
I would love to see that. What a humbling thing for Tony Thurman.
I'm like, I was nice. I said, thank you for coming. Finally, But at the same token, we're in the position that we are in because of people like him. They're in Sacramento trying to pervert children, and that's the truth. And that's exactly what I said. Without, having a script. That was off script from your normal board meeting. But I felt it was important to say so. They think they can pretty much dictate. We were elected for a reason. The community didn't put me in that seat as a mother who was fighting for our kids for any other reason, just to fight what was happening in Sacramento, right? Like, I know that. I've knocked every door in my area, and I've had conversations, and the majority of our community want me to fight the good fight for our kids. And Tony Thurman and Newsom and the rest of them and Bonta, they're not going to scare us. Lawsuits, do it. I think with that comes opportunity to expose the truth and more parents wake up, right? Most parents don't know that boys' restrooms in California, it's legislated under law with Tony Thurman's support. We have to have tampons in the boys' restroom. Like, make that make sense. Like, every time they do something, I'm almost like, thank you, Jesus, because now more people are aware of what they're doing, and hopefully they pay attention, and we take over more and more boards despite the union's stronghold on it. And the money. I think the money is the biggest thing, right? Unions come with powerful money. But we still can, we show them over time and time again. Look at boards across California. Parents, grandparents, normal day-to-day people are running for these positions. Thank you, Jesus, for that, because if they don't, we will never get anywhere. I don't want just Chino Valley to be leading in anything. I want everybody. Redlands is doing amazing. You have great board members in Marietta, Temecula, Paris, excuse me if I'm forgetting, I'm up north. We have amazing board members. I'm getting to meet all of them throughout the last 5 years, but we need more. We cannot let the majority be taken over by these people who report to these people who are hurting kids.
What I think is amazing, Sonya, is for years here in California, we have always romanticized the governor's race and the Senate race and a few of our congressional races, obviously. They get all the play. But it seems like in the last several years, specifically since COVID, that all of these other offices that we've really never had the opportunity or the curiosity to look into are now becoming more important than who's running for Senate or who's running for Congress, because the person that is overseeing the state's public education system and then implementing policies set by the State Board of Education have more consequences on my day-to-day lives and the day-to-day lives of my children than the senator does. And it's just like the insurance commissioner, right? Ricardo Lara just got, I guess he basically had a slush fund and had some lavish lifestyle and spent, well over $30,000 according to the reports I'm reading. But yet, the Pacific Palisades, they just burned down, and, all the rest of California burns down. But now these races are becoming more focused in people's minds in California. And I believe in 2026, this race for California State Superintendent for Public Instruction is going to be one of those races that we need to look at. And we're so glad that Sonya Shaw is stepping up to the plate.
No, and I appreciate that. And you're right. For far too long, we have ignored that seat. We kind of just gave into it. It's a nonpartisan seat. And I think that's where the parties kind of make mistakes on not paying attention to that. And I'm hoping and praying. We have a lot of great people in our party now that I think that this will be a priority. And I hope it'll be a priority for them because, look, education is one of the top things that Trump got chosen for. I mean, he got put in that place because he ran on those things to protect kids, right? Parents, people who never voted before came to the polls because of those very reasons. Us parents are awake, grandparents are awake. This seat is so important. I can tell you the first time I ever found out about this seat, I mean, mind you, I've only had a handful of experience in the political world, so to say, was when Lance Christensen was running, and us grassroots and parents got behind him. And I think the momentum continues, with us trying to make sure that we get an opportunity to be in that position. If we get in that position, do you know how much stuff we can shut down? They're just another leg of Newsom and the rest of them. If we get into that position, we can actually start directing the shit back to education. Back, many, many years ago, California used to be the leader in education. These people have destroyed it. We're going to have to rebuild it, and that's where I'm excited to have the opportunity to do so. I mean, I have met so many people with so much knowledge around California that I cannot wait to be in that position, and I pray that God opens those doors.
California now has new leadership in the CAGOP, and Corinne Rankin, of course, now is is the main name to get to know. And I'm wondering if you had an opportunity to meet Corinne, or will you have an opportunity to work closely with the California GOP, because I believe they really need to be in tune in 2026 for us to win these races, not only at the top for governor, but also these down ballot races.
Briefly before she was elected, Bill Aselli introduced us. I'm hoping that we can build on that and, make sure that I give them any support that's needed when it comes to protecting our children. So hopefully that relationship flourishes. I know that she signed the parental policy, protecting parent rights policy that Bill Aselli had. So I'm excited she did that. With that said, I'm just hopeful that, with that, two women in a position to protect our kids, we continue on that direction. I'm excited. I haven't seen any, pushback from that, so that's exciting. And I think we have a great opportunity to make sure that we get this seat. We're going to need all hands on deck. Let's be real. The union's coming in with millions of dollars into this race.
And it would be great to nationalize this race, because this is how important it is here in California. I just had Chad Bianco on a couple of weeks ago, and we did a meet and greet for him here in Santa Clarita, which, of course, we'd love to do that for you as well, Sonya, as soon as you are able to work things out with your schedulers. But the fact of the matter is, if Chad ends up being the top of the ticket and gets Trump's endorsement, perhaps, or something like that, it would be great to see a down ballot effect to where now Republicans in California and enough common sense Democrats and, yes, some conservative independents may have just had enough of the lunacy.
I think they have. If we can protect, the voter integrity, we can get some, help, for voter ID, which I see a lot of our well, not a lot because we don't have a majority up there, but the ones that are up there, they're really trying hard, right? And I appreciate everything they're doing with that. I honestly think we can make some huge changes. And if we don't do it now, shame on us. Like, how much more do we need to have exposed in regards to our families suffering? I mean, it's hard to even put food on the table right now, and it's hard to trust to put your kids into your local school districts, and they're coming after homeschooling that's what I want to tell moms and dads too. Don't get comfortable with homeschooling and private schools. The legislators have the majority up there, and they're wicked, and they're coming after homeschooling. And if we don't start linking arms all together, Lord help our children, right?
Absolutely.
I need an all hands on deck. I would love to give your listeners and all of our brothers and sisters in Christ a website. It's being the website. It's a landing place right now, but we're getting everything together. You can imagine working with grassroots funding. We're doing a lot of pull with help everywhere. Again, like, this is not my race. This is our race, and I need that to make sure it resonates with every mom, dad, grandpa, even concerned community member around California. I cannot do this alone. This has to be all hands on deck, and I appreciate all the people that have already came forward and signed up for to be part of this campaign.
Well, share that
beautiful.
landing site with us if you would, Sonya.
Yes, www.shaw, SHAW, for FOR, CA.com. So Shaw for CA.com.
Shaw for California. Sonya, obviously we're coming to the Easter weekend. What are you and your family planning on doing
for Easter?
Yeah.
Okay, so not very often do we get some time, but thankfully, for all the sacrifices Jesus had in this weekend's Easter, we were blessed with the opportunity to go camping in a tent on the beach, so I'm not complaining. But yeah, so we're going to take off Friday afternoon and just take a couple days and be in God's beautiful nature and beach and enjoy friends and family and, give thanks and just have fellowship. So yeah, we're excited. And again, with Easter here, thank you, Jesus, for all the sacrifices he made and continues to make. It's just a beautiful time right now.
Well, Sonya, thank you very much for joining us today on Politics in the Pulpit. We'll continue following your campaign for California State Superintendent. We want to get behind that. We want to help you out as much as we can. Give out your website just one more time.
Yes, www.shaw4FORCA.com. So shaw4CA.com.
Sonya Shaw, thank you so much. God bless you, and blessed Easter to you.
Thank you. You too, brother.
All right. When we come back here, we're going to end with some final thoughts about Easter Sunday and the most remarkable thing about this Sunday when we come back on your hometown station. All right, we're back here for our final segment of Politics in the Pulpit. Again, this is your holy host. It was a great opportunity to talk to Sonya Shaw. We've had her on before. I think it was right around November of last year, right before the election, actually, I think. And so we're excited to have had her on today. And I'd encourage you to go to Shaw for California and check out her website, which again, it's in its embryonic stages, so you're not going to see this huge website yet. A lot of that funding still has to yet come in, so that's one of the reasons why we want to do a meet and greet for her. And I really believe, honestly, as I've been saying to both Sonya as well as to Chad Bianco a couple weeks ago, as well as to other candidates that are vying here in California, that we really have an opportunity in 2026, as no other time in our recent history, to actually make some very significant inroads to elect some common sense individuals in these various positions. Now, we would all love for the governor to be a Republican. Now, that is going to be a very, very steep climb. As much as I like guys like Chad, we had Daniel Mercury on a few weeks ago. We'll have Daniel on again in a few weeks. But the fact is, we need to really rally around one of these candidates. We cannot run the risk of splitting our votes 15,000 different ways, because that's exactly what the Democrats are hoping for, that we split the vote and the top two end up being Democrats, and they continue with their firm grip on this state. If you don't like the current gas prices, I don't know if you've noticed this, but a barrel of oil is under $65 a barrel. I think it was under $60 a barrel just a few days ago. And usually that means that the trajectory at the gas stations start trending downward over time. But we're still paying close to $4 and $4.80 a gallon for 87 octane. But yet in other states, it's somewhere around $2.30 to $2.60, depending on which state you're talking about. We are being punished in California for driving. Because you drive a gas-powered vehicle, you are being punished. It is a privilege to drive in California. And because it's a privilege, you're going to pay for it. And we need representatives, both at the top of the ticket as well as down ballot, that are just average people that have to make ends meet like everybody else, that doesn't have to depend upon a slush fund. I just mentioned earlier about Ricardo Laura, the insurance commissioner here in our state. He's under investigation because he has been living lavishly on the taxpayer dole while the Pacific Palisades are burning, while the Eaton fire is burning. And it seems as if, according to the reports that I've been reading, that he set up a slush fund in order to have, drinks and dinners and all kinds of things that are on taxpayer expenses. Folks, this is Ricardo Laura, the guy that's in charge of our insurance here in California. How's that been going for you, folks? How's that been going for you? Don't you think it's time to maybe change the jockey on the horse? We've had the same jockey and the same party for so many years that I think it's about time we give the other side a chance. What have you got to lose? I want to close out today with some encouraging words from the Scriptures. This Sunday, of course, is Resurrection Sunday. And I want to read a passage from Paul's letter to the church at Corinthians, or the church at Corinth. This is from 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 1 and following, and here's what the Apostle Paul said. Moreover, brethren, I declare unto you the gospel, which I preached unto you, which also ye have received, and wherein you stand, by which also ye are saved, if ye keep in memory what I preached unto you, unless ye have believed in vain. For I delivered unto you first of all that which I also received, how that Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures, and that he was buried, and that he rose again the third day according to the Scriptures, and that he was seen of Peter, then of the 12. After that he was seen of above 500 brothers at once, of whom the greater part remain unto this present, but some are fallen asleep. And then Paul said this in verse 8 of 1 Corinthians 15. And last of all, he was seen of me also, as of one born out of due time. Do you know what makes biblical Christianity unique from all world religions? Our founder is alive. That's the difference. I am not a Christian because I'm enamored by somebody's teaching, although I am enamored by the Lord's teachings. But there's a lot of founders of faith groups out there that have teachings. But I'm enamored by the fact that when Jesus said, I'm going to the cross, and then I'm going to be buried, and then the third day I will rise again, I think that guy that is able to accomplish that, I think you ought to pay close attention to what he has to say. The greatest event in world history is not the birth of Christ. That was wonderful. But it's the promise of his resurrection. That is what changes everything. And this Sunday at Freedom's Way Baptist, we're going to talk a little bit about how the resurrection not only has internal proofs in the Scriptures for it, but one of the greatest proofs if you're asking right now, shouting in your car radio saying, what proof is there for the resurrection? Well, I'll give you one proof that's pretty obvious. He's not there. You can go to the grave right now. There's nobody there. You say, well, then he was stolen. This happened. You know, it's interesting. The New Testament actually postulates all those things that you're probably thinking about now. Do you know that the rulers of Israel suggested, well, maybe we ought to bribe some people to say that his body was taken by his apostles? Why did they have to bribe people to say that if he wasn't in the grave? Folks, I'm a Christian not because I'm enamored by a book, although I am enamored by the book. I'm a Christian because my founder is not in the grave. Just as the angel told the disciples who came to the grave early that morning to prepare the body for burial, the angel said, he is not here, for he is risen, catch it, as he said. I hope you have a place to go this Sunday. I encourage you to come by Freedom's Way Baptist Church. Check us out online at freedomswaybaptistchurch.org, 10:30 a.m. We're going to preach on infallible proofs for the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Thanks for tuning in today. We got some great shows planned for the next couple of weeks. We'll let you know who's coming on and who isn't coming on. Looking forward to Daniel Mercury in the next couple of weeks as well. Hope you have a great weekend. Lord bless you. Catch you here, same bat time, same bat channel on your hometown station.